locked up at home. A husband and wife in California are charged with holding their 13 children in deplorable conditions. Also tonight, a king criticizes a president.
We got to find a way to work on this man's heart.
Strong words ahead of a big week in Washington as immigration comes to a head and a shutdown looms.
A missile may impact on land or sea within minutes. This is not a drill.
The false alarm heard around the world as Hawaii tries to figure out how to prevent an accidental war. Nearly a week after the mudslides, one of America's most famous freeways is still closed and still creating huge traffic problems.
Just tap it one more time.
Test driving a car without getting in.
That thing's like my father.
And they were with Dr. King on his final march.
This man, he gonna change a lot of things.
This is the CBS Evening News with Jeff Glor.
And this is our Western edition. Good evening. We begin tonight with this disturbing story in Southern California. A husband and wife are accused of locking up their 13 children in awful conditions, some malnourished. One, authorities say, was able to get out and summon help. Danielle Nottingham is in our Los Angeles newsroom with more on this story.
The 17-year-old girl escaped from her Riverside County home to tell police harrowing details of her tortured siblings by their parents, 56-year-old David Allen Turpin and his wife, 49-year-old Louise Ann Turpin. The couple reportedly bound their 13 children with chains and padlocks. Malnourished and dehydrated, the victims as young as 2 years old were being held in a dark, foul-smelling house without food or water. Neighbors said they were shocked to learn that was going on.
So sad, so horrible.
The home in Perris, California, 71 miles east of Los Angeles, is listed as the Sandcastle Day School, according to California Education Department records. Police took the 13 victims to a local hospital for treatment. The couple is being held on $9 million bail and have been booked on 38 counts of torture and child endangerment. Police reported that some of the victims were actually young adults, but they were so emaciated they looked like children. Jeff?
Danielle, thank you very much. President Trump returned to the White House tonight ahead of a big week and following what has been an eventful day. There were protests outside his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida by Haitians upset about his comments last week. On this Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, King's children also criticized the language.
We cannot allow the nations of the world to embrace the words that come from our president as a reflection of the true spirit of America.
All this comes as the president and congressional Democrats are at odds over the future of DACA and funding the government. Margaret Brennan is at the White House tonight. Margaret?
Well, the immigration debate is complicating efforts to keep the government open as some Democrats want to see the DACA program extended along with that spending bill on Friday. But that's something that the Republican leadership is rejecting. But the president still needs at least 9 Senate Democrats to vote for any spending bill. And at this point, that's a challenge for him. Now, he needs to do this to avoid a government shutdown. Today, the president actually said that the senior Senate Democrat from Illinois, Dick Durbin, blew negotiations by having, quote, totally misrepresented what was said at the DACA meeting last Thursday in the Oval Office. Remember, Durbin said that the president used an expletive to refer to Haiti, El Salvador, and African nations. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said he didn't like what he had heard, and he did confront the president about it. Now, this public argument seems to be unnecessarily complicating an issue that has bipartisan support. According to the latest CBS News poll, 70% of Americans favor DACA, including a slim majority of the president's own supporters.
Margaret, what is the likelihood at this point of a deal by Friday?
Well, the president said yesterday he is ready, willing, and able to cut a deal on DACA, but then he accused Democrats of not really wanting it. He said that a senior GOP source as well, talking to CBS, said that their impression is that Democrats are intentionally risking a government shutdown, one that would also happen to coincide with the one-year anniversary of the president's first year in office. Jeff?
Margaret Brennan, thank you very much. The false alarm in Hawaii over the weekend was also a wake-up call for officials responsible for security. The employee who made that mistake has now been reassigned, and David Begnaud is in Honolulu.
The agency that made the mistake says it's receiving threats after the chaos and confusion that sent people panicking. This little girl was lowered into a manhole. 5,500 people called 911.
It was a mistake on our part, and I regret the stress and concern and worry that you went through.
Hawaii's emergency management administrator, Vern Miyagi, says an employee clicked the wrong button twice. He was supposed to select the option for drill, but he clicked the real thing. At 8:07 a.m. local time, this alert of a ballistic missile threat was issued by the State Emergency Management Agency.
Take immediate action.
For what felt like an eternity, islanders heard this.
A missile may impact on land or sea within minutes. This is not a drill.
Within 3 minutes, the person who made the mistake realized it. But it would take 38 minutes to send out a correction. We went to see where the mistake happened at the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, which is tucked inside that bunker in Honolulu. With all due respect, are you sure this was an accident?
Yes, I know the individual. This was an accident, not intentional at all.
This is definitely the safest place. There's no windows and it's the interior of our house.
Amanda Thompson screamed when she read the alert. She and her husband took their kids and hid in a closet.
And we grabbed everything we possibly could. Food, water bottles. As I'm crying my eyes out, we called his parents, and I'm crying so hard that they can't understand me.
Since December 1st, state officials have resumed drills of the attack warning signal used to notify the public of an inbound missile. So here's what's being done to make sure this doesn't happen again. The governor now wants 2 people to be involved in every drill. And now on the computer screen, there is a false alarm template. So should someone make another mistake, Jeff, it shouldn't take 38 minutes to correct it.
All right, David Begnaud, thank you very much. There is also fear that a false alarm could lead to an accidental war. Jan Crawford has been looking into this.
First, you duck, and then you cover.
For a generation in the Cold War, the threat of a nuclear attack was ever present.
There might not be any grown-ups around when the bomb explodes. Then, you're on your own.
Today's warheads are many times more powerful and deadly, and information comes faster than ever, raising the risks of a panicked public, what analysts call the nightmare scenario, a false alarm that triggers accidental nuclear war. Bruce Alexander is a national security expert.
We need to have some sort of authentication system. We have to also look at who's authorized to launch these particular alerts and what particular situations.
False alarms are nothing new. In 1971, NORAD sent this erroneous teletype to thousands of broadcast stations, activating the emergency broadcast system to announce the United States was under nuclear attack. And in 1979, computers at NORAD headquarters detected what appeared to be a massive Soviet missile attack. The U.S. went on high alert, but it was actually a war game tape that had been mistakenly loaded into NORAD's computers. Officials had only minutes to decide whether the warning was accurate and whether or not to retaliate.
The overriding concern right now is the threat of North Korea. So in this case, minutes really do matter given the, the proximity that they have and the ability to respond or prepare for that.
In the case of a true emergency, a wireless alert to the public could come from national, state, or local authorities, all of whom are supposed to have had FEMA training. In this case, FEMA says it's investigating what happened in order to prevent it from happening again.
Now, the current emergency alert system has been in place since 2012, and experts we talked to said better training and more controls can fix these issues. And it's fortunate that we know of these problems because of a false alarm instead of a failure during an actual event. Jeff?
Jan Crawford, thank you very much. Now, nearly a week after the mudslides in Southern California, the death toll is 20. 3 people are still missing this evening. Jamie Yukas is in Santa Barbara County.
On blocks where the river of mud destroyed homes as people slept, cadaver dogs continued an exhaustive search for the missing.
You're trying to find people's family members.
Yes.
Give them some closure.
Exactly. Yeah, the whole community, too. I mean, this is a tight-knit community.
But closure here is a long way away. There's nothing left. The main Highway 101 is shut down for 30 miles, turning commutes into 250-mile, 4-hour back road detours.
Our driver drive our bicycle like 7 miles or something.
Utility companies are trying to restore power and communications to mud-encased neighborhoods. There is no water. Drone footage shows the slow process of removing so much mud. Some of it is trucked to once pristine beaches where it can drain into the sand. The local grocery store is giving out free water and food to rescue workers after 3 employees lost family members.
When you work in a community, as we all do, you know these people and you see them every day and you know their families, you watch their kids grow up. It's pretty emotional for everybody involved.
Crews are working around the clock to get all this mud and debris moved off the freeway, but it could be another week before the 101 opens back up. Amtrak has added more train cars to help out, but commuters say they're packed. Jeff?
Jamie Yukas, thank you very much. Investigators continue looking into a terrible boat fire in Florida. Flames engulfed that boat as it set out for an offshore casino. About 50 people on board were forced to jump into the Gulf of Mexico near Port Richey. One passenger, a 42-year-old woman, died later at a hospital. Newly released video just out shows quick thinking by first responders earlier this month when a home outside Atlanta went up in flames. The rescue was captured on helmet cam as firefighters worked to save a family from a burning apartment building. Captain Scott Stroop caught the young child dropped from a ladder near a third-floor balcony that was in flames. Captain Jackie Peckrell, a mother of triplets, caught a baby that was also dropped midair.
We did what we had to do, and the thing is that everybody there knew what they had to do.
Carl Ragland's grandson was one of the children who was saved.
That's the most grateful blessing that I have. Nobody died. Nobody.
4 adults and 8 kids have minor injuries. They are recovering tonight.
I don't really feel like a hero. I don't think any of us do. It's our job, and we are so fortunate to work for DeKalb County.
Gold medal gymnast Simone Biles wrote today on social media that she, too, is a victim of Larry Nassar, the former team doctor for USA Gymnastics. Biles won the individual all-around competition in Rio in 2016. She joins more than 140 women, including 3 other Olympians, who have accused Nassar of sexual abuse. Nassar is expected to receive a life sentence this week after pleading guilty to sexual assault charges. Dolores O'Riordan, the lead singer of the Irish rock group The Cranberries, died suddenly today in London. Cranberries had a string of hits in the 1990s, including Zombie, Linger, and Dreams, and sold more than 40 million records. No word on what caused O'Riordan's death. She did recently cut short a tour because of back problems. Dolores O'Riordan was 46 years old. And now to some other stories we're following in the evening news feed. A mezzanine walkway collapsed without warning today at the stock exchange in Jakarta, Indonesia. No one was killed, but nearly 80 were hurt, mostly college students who were touring the exchange. The pilots of a Turkish jetliner that skidded off the runway told investigators an engine problem forced the plane to swerve left as it landed Saturday. The Boeing 737 veered down a slope and stopped just yards from the Black Sea. None of the 168 people on board were hurt. And girls ages 7 to 10 are now allowed to become Cub Scouts. That is a first in the organization's 108-year history. Next year, older girls will be eligible to join the Boy Scouts and pursue the rank of Eagle Scout. Much more news ahead on the CBS Evening News.
New car buyers have a new option. Pull on a virtual reality headset and go for a virtual test drive. What happened?
There's got to be a logical explanation for this.
In 1968, this Memphis sanitation worker found himself marching with Dr. King for equal pay and better working conditions.
When I saw him,
You felt you had a shot.
I know I had a shot.
A new way is coming to buy a car. John Blackstone now on how you can do a test drive without getting into the vehicle.
At the Silicon Valley Auto Show, prospective car buyers could get a glimpse of the future where car shopping doesn't require a real car at all.
Just slide that on.
Just pull on virtual reality goggles for a close look at the latest Lexus models.
You don't have to walk around the door. It doesn't exist.
The door, oh, that's right. It's not there.
I can just walk right through it.
I just walk right through the door.
So you can kind of kneel down, poke your head in the car.
I can look right through the window here then. Whoa!
Yep.
Yeah.
Put your head right in.
Virtually every option.
If you get close to the car, you'll actually see the metallic flake right in the paint there.
Can be seen virtually. But how does it drive?
Are you ready to go on test drive?
The kiosk of a company called FlowFound offers virtual test drives in several different cars.
So now you're in the Ford.
The kiosks are now available at selected dealerships around the country. One disappointment, you are stuck in the virtual passenger seat. I tried it. I didn't get to drive.
You didn't.
Nick Sabella, FlowFound CEO, designed the test drives to demonstrate advanced features buyers are likely to never encounter in a real test drive.
There's so many self-driving safety, performance, and features that you just can't try, whether it's launch mode or collision avoidance, and these things work, but they're scary.
Car shoppers may have another reason to put on the goggles.
And the best part about it is
dodging the sales pitch. Grace Ahn studies virtual reality in marketing.
The salesmen are very well trained. Using these virtual test drives, you're able to avoid a lot of these social pressures and make decisions in your own pace and in your own time.
So, car shoppers, relax. In the virtual world, the car salesman doesn't exist. John Blackstone, CBS News, San Jose.
There was nothing virtual about this ride. What really happened next? So many who've seen the picture wondered, how did that happen? A car dangling from a second-floor dentist's office in Santa Ana, California. Well, surveillance video shows the car flipped a median and took flight. No one was seriously hurt. The driver told police he had used drugs. Britain's highest award for animal gallantry was presented posthumously today to Chips, a U.S. Army dog who risked his life attacking a German machine gun nest during World War II. Chip's owners had donated him to the war effort after he bit the garbage man. When General Eisenhower bent down to thank Chips for his heroism, Chips bit him too. Up next, they were with Dr. King on his final march. Honors for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on this, the 89th anniversary of his birth. King was assassinated 50 years ago this April in Memphis. He had gone there to support striking sanitation workers. Here's Michelle Miller.
In the winter of 1968, the garbage men of Memphis put the city on notice. Men like Elmore Nickelberry and Baxter Leach, they went on strike, demanding equal pay and better working conditions after two co-workers were accidentally killed in a trash compactor.
What were the marchers saying?
Marchers saying, we overcome someday.
Were you ever fearful for your life?
Sure. It felt like a war zone.
A Korean War veteran, Nickelberry and others were now fighting for justice and the simple right to a sink to wash off the stench of a 9-hour day. His pay? Just $1.25 a day. On April 3, 1968, he found himself in lockstep with Martin Luther King Jr.
That day was a good day. It was a marvelous day. When I saw him, I said, this man, he's going to change a lot of things.
You felt you had a shot.
I know I had a shot.
Of 1,300 of God's children here suffering, going through dark and dreary nights.
In the speech he gave, that did something to me.
What did it do to you?
I was thinking that everything was going to be all right.
But the next day, standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel, King was assassinated.
Yeah, losing with him, like losing one of my family members.
Did you see justice after his death?
Yeah. We had better working conditions.
Leach worked another 43 years. Nickelberry's still on the job today, the longest-serving employee in the city's history. Tonight, the NAACP is honoring them for the role they played in the fight for human dignity. Michelle Miller, CBS News, Memphis.
And that is the CBS Evening News tonight. I'm Jeff Glor. We leave you this Martin Luther King Day with the gospel classic, Oh Happy Day, made famous by the great Edwin Hawkins, who died today at the age of 74. It is performed here by Ray Charles.